Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. Okay, now that we see you received your new seat cover from Ram Enterprises, first thing you want to do is make sure the cover fits before you strip the old cover off. Open it up, stretch it out over the top of the old cover, and you can just loosely stretch one end on and come down to the other end. And you can see already by this point your cover is going to be just fine. So at this point, remove that new cover and tear off that old seat cover and get it out of the way, and we'll get ready to put a new cover on. Okay, once you've got that old cover stripped off the seat, start by turning it up. I've got the front of the seat facing away from me. We'll grab our new cover and find the front edge, which is going to be taller. See the front and the back. The back is the shorter, the front will be the longer one. Lay that out on your seat. And start by slipping your hand right inside and pushing up into the corner, and you can feel right there. Pull that cover over. Same thing in the back edge. Just kind of slip it over. And you're not going to get it perfectly tight at this point until you get the other end put on. Okay, and once again, to do the other end, put your hand in. You're going to just slide your finger straight into that corner, right like that, on the inside. And then here's your edge of your frame. Stretch it up to it and pull that over. The same thing on the front edge. You're just pushing it right up to the edge. And it helps if you've got the edge of the seat hanging over the edge of the table a little bit. Stretch the cover over. Kind of get it a little bit into place, and you'll get the rest of it into place once you flip the seat over. And then you can just grab these corners, and you want to try and get the seam to come right up into the edge here. And the same thing in the front edge. Try and get that seam pulled right up in there. And then you're ready to start stapling. And you can start on either the back edge or the front edge. It really doesn't matter. You're going to grab this material and stretch it up a little bit. Don't have to hurt yourself trying to stretch it up too much. And put one or two staples right in the corner, just up onto the frame a little bit, so you can hold that corner in place. Go to the front, and the same thing. Give it a nice little stretch. One or two staples right in the corner. And then you can go to the center. You kind of work this with your hand, and what I'm doing is feeling to make sure I don't have any wrinkles there and the cover's pulled over nice and tight. And then staple in the center, go to the center, staple in the center again. And then on the back edge, once again, I'm feeling for wrinkles, making sure I don't have any there. And then you're ready to turn the seat around and do the same thing on the other end. Now this one we haven't pulled all the way into place yet, so you can see where this seat is nice and loose here. And what we're going to do is grab this, kind of fold it over, get a grip on it so you can pull it up into place. Same thing in the front edge. Before you start stapling, you want to make sure you have that pulled all the way up into place there. Just like that. Once again, when you pull it up, try and get the seam to come in right at the corners. Same thing in the front. Pull it up so that seam falls right on the corner. One or two staples right there. Feel it, make sure it's nice and snug. A couple staples in the center. Stretching it here again. Staples. All the way across. Once you have your two ends finished, we're going to come to the center of the seat. And we're going to stretch it up here. Put a couple staples in the center. And we like to call this divide and conquer. This will keep you from working wrinkles into your cover as you're stapling the front edge. So we've stapled the end and we've stapled the center. Now we're going to go halfway in the middle, stretch that up, and try and get the same amount of stretch all the time so the front of your cover isn't real wavy across there. We've got it stapled here and here. We're going to go to the center again. A couple staples there. And then fill in the gaps in between. As you're doing your end, instead of pulling this seam over and stapling it right here and straight, when you look at it from the end, you'll actually see all this. So what you want to do is make sure you get a few staples right over that seam to keep that seam from ever tearing out. And what we've done is we've pulled that in at a 30 to 40 degree angle so that it's away from the edge and you can't see it once we turn the seat over. We've stapled to here and here. Now we're going to go in the center again. Stretch that up, staple, stretch this up, staple in the center again. And we're just always working to the center of the staples to get rid of any of those wrinkles that might show up there. Now we can go to the other end, and we're going to do the same thing. We've stapled to the center and this end, Now we're going to go into the middle, pull that up, get a couple staples in it, go to the center, stretch it up, and then staple it across the rest of the way. We've stapled here and here. We're going to go up to here, staple in the center, same thing on this end. So we've stapled here, and now we're ready to staple this corner. Once again, stretch this up, keep it in at about a 30 to 40 degree angle, and get a couple staples right over that seam. Go to the center, stretch it up, staple, and your front edge is done. Now we're ready to start on our back edge. We're going to do the same thing in the back that we did in the front. Go to the center, pull your material up, and you can kind of work your hand from here, pull it up toward you a little bit. That'll help pull it a little bit tight. And you're going to go to the center again, pull that material up, and you can stretch it with your hand as you go, and keep working from the centers. And what you're looking for along the back edge is a nice smooth stretched edge right here. You don't want a lot of waves in this right back here. Same thing here. We've stapled to here and the corner. You're going to go to the center, stretch it up, a couple staples there. Once again, you go into the end, and you're going to stretch this back in away from the edge at about a 30 degree angle. Get a couple staples right over that seam, and then again, finish out your back edge. Just like that. Okay, now we're going to finish that last part of the back edge. We've stapled the corner and we've stapled down to the center. We're going to go about halfway down. Pull this material up, get a couple staples there, halfway in between again, right here and here. Pull that material up, and as you can see as I'm doing this, I'm using the frame of the wood right here as a guide to pull that material over about the same amount every time. And that will help me keep this edge nice and straight and true in the back. So once you come up to the corner, do a nice tight fold on this. You don't want to stretch it over here because you'll see this from the end. So once again, stretch it in nice and tight, back at about a 30 degree angle. Get a couple staples right in that seam to hold it in place, and then go about halfway down again. Stretch it up, get your staples in there. Same thing here. And you're finished stapling. Okay, once you finish stapling, you want to take a nice sharp knife and start out by cutting this extra material off. Don't want to get too close to the edges of the staples, but you can get in fairly close to them. Be real careful not to cut yourself. Make sure you cut those corners out. You don't want too much material built up in those corners. And I'm using the wood as a guide there to kind of slide the knife along. We'll turn it around and do the other end. Getting rid of all this extra material here. If for some reason you accidentally slip while you're doing that and you cut your cover too close to your staples, you can always just take your staple gun, if you need to, put a couple extra staples in it. After you finish stapling it, turn your seat over and take a look at it. You want your seams to come right up on the corners in the front and the back, and you want this edge to be nice and tight. You don't want this to be real loose or anything, and it should be nice and smooth, just like that. Great job. We've put a seat cover on. It only took a couple minutes. It's a great way to save money for your restaurant. Go to ramseatcovers.com. Get your seat covers ordered today. We really recommend that you order 1 or 2 extra ones just in case. We'll see you at ramseatcovers.com.